in schools how to swim. Okay? So now they're teaching people how to live on water and how to survive on water. And guess what? Even for games like the Olympics, they have water games there. But the only game that we look forward to participating is what? What game do we participate in football? I mean, what games do we participate in the Olympics? Football, yeah? Swimming, do we swim? Hardly. What else do we do? We run. And there are so many games at the Olympics. But because we are not experienced with them, because we are not familiar with them, because we have not opened our economy to them, we can't participate. Sometime last year at Civic Center, there was a boat. There was this boat ride competition, like one of those boats that look like bikes. Very interesting. It was fun. I know that the organizers were a bit skeptical because it was the first time they are doing something like this. But this is a platform. This is an opportunity. Okay, this is an opportunity. And then we have marine renewable energy. All right. Energy gained from ocean wave tides. In fact, when I saw this one, I said I've not started. I think I need to go and read a little more. Like, you can gain energy from ocean wave tide. Wow. I was impressed because, you know, somebody said earlier, he said he doesn't like complaining. He likes looking for solution. I think one of the things that has held us back in Africa is our, how will I say it, our superstitious behavior. I recently had a cat imposed on me. Now, as a kid, I liked cats. You understand? Unfortunately, Nigerian movies happened to me. You get? So I'm not afraid of them, but I have a cautiousness towards cats. And this cat was imposed on me. I crochet, like you know, and the cat was watching me crochet. The cat loves what I'm doing. The cat will come around me, come around my hand. I'll be like, oh my God, what spirit are you? It will look me in the eye. I'll be like, no, I don't like cats. I don't like cats. Shoo, go away. I'm enemy. I hate cats. You know, but the cat warmed my heart. Alright, and I fell in love with it. We are good friends. Sometimes when I'm crocheting, I'll carry it when I'm at home, sit on my chair and crochet with the cat. I told it should not go to any other chair except my chair because I don't trust the kids with the cat. It's very tender, you know. And I'm studying its character, and I said, wow, this is quite a pleasant animal. I think it's even godly. Why did we bewitch it? We have a nature of bewitching things that belong to us here. And the blue economy seems to open our eyes to the beauty of water. I remember sometime, it was quite a long time ago in Unilag, I'm not sure of the full details of the story. Somebody was talking about a particular water in the river that shines light at night. And in this particular river, people bewitched the animal and gave it some witchcraft stuff. So you can't go to that water. There's a witch in that water. Only for some white inquisitive people to come and say, oh, it's a type of fish. I've not forgotten the name. Such a long time ago, but the fish had a name. So to think that, oh, there is wave there's energy in the ocean waves that can be tapped, and we've been looking at it all this while. See, like I said, opportunities, yeah. Marine technology, use of ocean organizers to develop medicine and cosmetics. You know, I never thought that you can use the ocean to develop medicine. You know, and it's because of what we do not know. That is why we abuse something. For example, if I don't know the use of this microphone, I will abuse it. I will start, if I pick it up and start tapping on it and start hitting it on my leg, it's an abuse of the microphone. So we are abusing our water because we do not know the value that is inside of it. To think that medicine can come out of water, cosmetics can come out of water. As a matter of fact, I'm blaming myself. I should know. Because I know that salt is Salt water is healthy. The salt from the water is good. It's purifying. It cleanses. You know, when you go to the beach and then you put your feet inside the salt water, if you like to play with water very well, you put your legs inside, you will notice that your nail polish will be clean off. If you go with plain nails, you will notice that when you bring out your feet, there might be sand on it, but it will be purified. So that, and I should have known. I don't know why it never actually clicked. Maybe it did not click because my mind was not there. But I did meet a lady that told me that she uses sea salt for skin to what they call it in skin scrub, yeah, to scrub your face, to make a scrub to clean the face. So it's a cosmetic thing, and she was her skin was very fresh. She was always telling me that I would say she will have pink salt, she will have different colors of salt. I was, where do you get this thing from? She said, oh, I took it at this beach. I said, I've been to beaches, I've never seen pink salt. Which eye are you using? You know, and though this was quite a long time ago, she was futuristic. Are we together? She saw into the future. And I hope she's still in the country. She would be excited about this. Alright? I've spoken about shipbuilding and ship constructions for the engineers. I really hope that the country, as their eyes are being opened to blue economy, they will go beyond just transportation. They will go beyond the normal, but they will go deep and they will go down into it. Because there's a lot to be tapped in the blue economy. And one of the thoughts that sometimes come to my heart as a parent is, what kind of job is my kid going to do? What does the future hold for the kids? You know, where are they going to work? I mean, if people are going to be busy by the water, they are going to need doctors by the water. Because if you talk about sports, talking about recreation in the sea, people are going to need doctors who know about this recreation in the sea, who know how to treat those wounds. In fact, I would not lie. I think for me right now, because you guys know I'm a foodie, I like food, I like healthy food. Talking about protein from blue algae. You know, in chain of food, you know, the food pyramid, which one is at the top? Carbohydrate. Which one is at the bottom? What's the last one? Protein. It's protein. And protein it shows you, it's huge. So he was telling us that pyramid shows you the quantity of food you should take. Unfortunately, when we are serving food, which one is down? Which one is down? Which one is up? Protein. We are eating food opposite. So many people don't have strong bones. So when I found out that, oh, blue algae has more protein, blue algae has the most protein, you have no, and mentally I was telling myself, where am I going to get blue algae? Because when I think about algae, I only think about gutter. And I tell myself, where am I going to get algae from this our dirty gutter? Do you get what I'm trying to say? But now knowing that, oh, the blue economy is coming to the country and the blue economy is sustainable, the blue economy has strict laws, we know that the future is bright. We know that, oh, maybe they are going to have strict laws on how we treat our gutters. Maybe our gutters are going to be cleaner. People are going to be more informed. Maybe our lagoons are going to be cleaner. You know, I had this vision before. I like to think about business and I'm a very creative person. I was passing by the lagoon and I was like, the lagoon was very dirty, okay? But my mind closed. And in my eyes, I just saw that the gutter was clear. In my eye, I thought the beach was beautiful. In my mind, I just saw flowers arranged nicely. And this is in my mind's eye. I was like, oh, maybe I would have a restaurant here. Maybe we'll do strictly seafood. I'll put all these flowers on top with these beautiful lights. That was what my mind told me. And I was like, Elma, you drink too much. Cannot be Nigeria. Close your eyes. I said, is it the country where somebody is throwing pillow inside gutter? How are you going to have a clean lagoon? But having heard what I heard today about the blue economy, I have hope. And like I said, yellow, yellow is a cry and a desire for the blue economy since 2006. If you haven't read the book, I would ask you to read it so that you will understand how important this blue economy is for us and the beauty that this blue economy has for the future. I'll be concluding in a few minutes. If you're not in the blue economy yet and you feel this is just a very big topic people are talking about, please open your heart. I would encourage you to read all you can about the blue economy and see how you can contribute to this blue economy actually becoming alive in our country. And with that, I would like to hand over to the next speaker. Thank you.
Very much. I think we can do better by applauding her. Alright, thank you, because she has shed more light on blue economy, and I want to believe that by now we all have understanding of what blue economy is. But I will still be talking about the blue economy, but in a different perspective. I know that you are not going to see it this way. I am Joluwatimileyin Ajayi, and I'm a public health advocate. So I want you to understand blue economy versus public health, because the blue economy is not complete if the public health is not involved in it. And I want to ask you, who makes use of the water? Is it not human being majorly? Everything that is in the water is being used by human being. I know that the aquatic life also have a part in it. The plants, agricultural system also have a part in it. But I want you to know that we are like the major determinant of what happened to our water. A whole lot of persons that have spoken about the blue economy has opened our eyes to a lot of things. But I know that every time you drink a glass of water, every time you eat your fish, the last speaker have explained to us how the substance, the living organism in the blue economy are a major source of protein, right? And that is what majority feed on today. Now, every time you drink your glass of water, every time you eat that your fish, I know that what comes to your mind is that water is life. Of course, water is life. But I want to tell you that that same water that is life is also silently killing us as human, and that is why I am here. You know, according to WHO, they have recorded a whole lot of death cases, mortality, as a result of drinking unclean and unsafe water. And now, I will not just be talking to you about the oceans and the river just alone, because a whole lot of speakers have talked about that. But I want to talk to us about our health, our family, and our future as far as blue economy is concerned. That is why my topic this afternoon is the blue economy and public health, the silent link we ignore. I know a lot of people do not know that somehow the blue economy is related to public health. So we want to look at the silent link that people actually ignore. Now, let me define the blue economy to you once again so that you are going to understand. The blue economy is how we actually use water resources to make money. Everything in the water, everything in the ocean, the sea, the lake, how we use it to make money. Talk about fish farming, talk about oil and gas, talk about so many things about the water. You know, we also use water for construction, we use it for farming and all of that. Just like the way we use everything on land. Just like the way you use your farming system to make money, businesses, everything on land, you use it to make money. That is also blue economy. Everything about the water resources, you use it to make money and also to support life. It's not just about the money aspect alone. You also use it to support life while you keep those water clean and sustainable. That is why it is blue economy. So you don't just make use of it for money alone, but those things that are inside this water, you also make sure that they are sustainable, and at the same time the water is clean. Now I've told you that the same way the land fetch us money, the same way building and businesses fetch us money, water can also fetch us money as well. And water also give us opportunity, and that is simply the blue economy. So I want to believe that when you hear the word blue economy, you know what it means now. So it's not just about using water to make money, but it is the wise use of it, so that you don't destroy everything that is inside the water. I know that by now we've heard about the blue economy. A whole lot of us will start thinking, how can I use the water to make money? How can I just make impact with it? But it is blue economy if you make it sustainable. It is blue economy if you don't destroy it. But do you know that it is a pity today that majority of people are now destroying the water? They are now destroying what we call the water. I know that we all understand that life will not exist if there is no water, because everything basically depends on water. Right inside your body system is just a whole lot of percentage of water. Talk about your brain, talk about the functioning of every part of your body. Even your blood still contains water. That is to tell you that water is life and water is everything. But how can we make use of this water and we don't destroy this water? Do you know that people are not even just dumping refuse on the street again? Some people will basically carry these refuses and they will dump it right into the river, right inside the water. Now let me tell you something. As someone who have served in the Lagos State Water Corporation, I have understand that the fish that you are eating, name the kind of fish, they are only surviving because the water is clean. Any water that cannot accommodate fish, the water is a no-go area. So for the first thing for you to know is that when your water can accommodate fish, that means the water is safe to some extent. Do you understand this now? So now when I see people dump refuse inside the water, I see them that okay, these people, maybe because of ignorance or they don't have the right understanding about some things. I was still talking about something about proper waste disposal when I was speaking in the midnight or early daybreak and like that. I was telling the audience and those people listening online that we make some decision unconsciously. And what am I talking about? So many people are used to the fact that when they are done taking anything, they will not be conscious of their environment. They will just dump the refuse on the floor like that. And I was telling the people seated that early morning that if we are making the right decision by having it at the back of our mind that this place that I am at the moment is not a waste bin. Do you know that either consciously or unconsciously, when you are done with whatsoever waste, either plastic or sachet water, nylon or whatsoever waste it is, even as big girls, even as Gen Zs, you will not mind wrapping the waste inside your bag until you are close to where you can dispose it properly. And I was telling them that sometimes if you check my bag, you will see nylon, you might even see plastic. I kept it there because I'm just waiting to get to the right place to dispose it. And so many people today, even not on the streets, right inside the hall as you are seated right there, if you are always around the time 4 a.m. 5 a.m. that we are still speaking, the challenge is still on, you will see that the floor is littered. Who does that? Is it not we human? And this is just still all. It's not even close to river. It's not even by the roadside. And one of the speakers have told us that, and I want to reiterate that all of this waste that we don't even use our hand to pack into the water have a way of getting into the water by flooding, erosion. When rain fall, it will sweep them into the river and like that. and that is how we pollute the river. So you might say you don't carry your waste and dump it into the river. How about the waste that you are dumping on the floor and like that? So that is what I'm talking about. And don't forget, I told you that the blue economy is not complete if public health is not involved. The blue economy is not complete if you are using it to make money and you are not sustaining it. The blue economy is not complete if you are using it to make money and you are destroying it with your action. I know that what we are doing right now is, let me say, sensitization and education in a way. You have that knowledge and the understanding from so many speakers that have spoken about the blue economy. I know that our topic are not the same but still under the same theme. You should go out there and pass the knowledge to others. You might not necessarily sit them down and say, I want to educate you on this, but it starts from you. One of the things that happen to us is that when people see the action that you make, they are going to copy it. If you are that sister that you don't care and you always dump anything anywhere, the people coming after you, they will see it as a normal lifestyle, isn't it? But if you are the type that you caution them and tell them, don't dump anything anywhere, just like that. But some people will be like, where am I going to do it? We can research and do a whole lot of things on how we can dispose our waste properly. Now, let's look at why Nigeria depends on this blue economy. You can see what Lagos State is building right now. They are making sure that they effect this blue economy. You've heard about Omieko, you've heard about Laswa. Now, why do Nigeria really depend on this blue economy? Number one is because it is a good source of food and food supply, which is a major source of protein. Our last speaker has expatiated more on that, and I will not love to repeat so many things, but I just want you to also have it at the back of your mind that Nigeria depends on blue economy because it is a major source of food supply. If the blue economy is not in existence or a whole lot of people have destroyed it, there are some things that you will not find easy to get. If they are okay, they are probably importing some fish, right? But I want to tell you that there are still some that we do by ourselves in this country. By the time you go to the likes of Apapa area and some other places that are coastal communities, you will see them. And one thing about these people is that they are doing it joyfully. They are doing it happily with joy in their heart because it is their lifestyle. But we are not closer to that environment, we don't know, number one, the stress that they are going through when it comes to something like that. Another reason Nigeria really depends on the blue economy is oil and gas. Yes, you tap oil from, the oil comes from up the offshore. The people in the petroleum, the oil and gas, they know how all of these are really being done. And more reason, we have the marine engineers and all of that. Then it's a good source of transportation and trade. The very first time I traveled by the sea, at first I was afraid, right? Because I've heard a whole lot of things, this and that, and I can't even swim. But I was just inside, is it Keno now, that small one? It has cover actually, okay, Keno. I was just there with one mind and I was like, anything will what happen today. But I really enjoyed it because there was nothing like traffic, there was nothing like gallop. It was a very seamless, smooth and all of that. It's just that the fear of if anything happen, are you sure you can really swim? And I remember that one thing that the sailor, those people that ride this, they are sailor, right? Okay, one thing that he emphasized was that every one of us should make sure we are using our life jackets, and one of the speakers have also emphasized on that. It's a very good source of transportation. And I remember why I actually used that means of transportation. I was actually with someone, because if I had to just think on it on my own, we never try it. It was somebody that actually motivated me, and we used that source of transportation because we wanted to beat traffic. We were actually heading somewhere, And I think we've already checked the map and we realized that there was traffic, right? The person just suggested that let's go to I think it was Apapa area at that time, that we should just use it. I was like, is it safe? The person was like, so is your own road transportation even safe? If you are saying the water transportation is not safe, what give you probability that that car you want to go and enter is also safe and like that? But I think the only minus when it comes to the water transportation is that you must know how to swim in case there is any unforeseen circumstances. So it is a very good source of transportation and very good source of trade. We can see that a whole lot of our goods are being transported with this water means of transportation. By the time you move to, yes, I will still make mention of this Apapa, that's because I'm familiar with that particular. You can see that there is seaport there, and they import goods from other places. You can see a whole lot of containers. You will see that this is actually a very good source of transportation and trade. And why Nigeria also depends on this blue economy is that it is a good source of job and livelihood. Some people are actually earning from it, and they are not even earning small money. Talk about those people who are into fish farming. Do you know how much they are selling those fishes to us today? That same particular incident, I was not telling my colleague that we went together. I was like, wow, that fish will be very cheap in this area. The person was like, it is not cheap, that it is still the same. You can see that those people, they are earning their own money. I think the only difference is that by the time they sell it to the wholesalers, it's just that there will be more difference from selling it to the retailer again. Do you understand? So it is actually a very good source of income and livelihood. Some people's life basically depend on it, especially those who are living in the coastal community. How about tourism and recreation? A whole lot of us want to visit the beach today. We want to see what is happening, and it will not happen if we have not preserved water. How many of you want to go to a beach that is dirty? It is not possible. But you will see fine girl, handsome man today, they will go to that place where the water is clean. You can't say you want to go for vacation where the water is dirty in this current age. It is not possible. But because some people have actually preserved water, I'm very sure that when you get to some beach, they won't even allow you to just throw anything anyhow, just like that. So that's to tell you that we have to preserve it. We should not destroy the water with our action, because some people are actually making money from there. Those people who have store, those people who have maybe one shop or the other near beaches, you know how much they are making, because obviously what you need at that moment, you can't leave that far distance to go and get it in town. So that's to tell you that it is also a good source of tourism and recreation. Now, Nigeria also depend on it because it helps our climate and environmental balance. Do you know that? Yes, I know that God created everything beautifully, and for us to have rainfall is because there are still water in our oceans, in our seas and lake. Science students will understand it, but let me just explain it to you in a simple way. Now, this is how rainfall happens. There is first thing we call evaporation. That water that you see in your sea, in your lake, they are going to evaporate and they are going to condense. Then it's going to remain in the cloud. Then the next thing that will happen is the rainfall. That's the simple explanation I can give you about that. So that's to tell you that water also help our ecosystem. Water help our ecosystem by ensuring that our plants are growing appropriately. Farmers make use of water, because tell me, what are they going to use in cultivating the plants and even to feed their livestock, especially farmers that are into poultry and like that. So now let me now explain to you where health come into the picture. This is where health come into the picture, because many people actually think that, just like I've said, that blue economy is just about making money and all of that. But do you know that somehow, consciously or unconsciously, it affects what we eat, it affects what we drink, and even the air we breathe. That's for those people who are in the coastal community. But what we eat, because I know when you serve your food and you are seeing fish, a whole lot of you thought probably you are seeing fish, but what if I tell you that sometimes it can be more than that, because your fish has actually fed on some things that might be toxic. So that's to tell you that the blue economy depends on what we eat as well and what we drink. There are some people who do not have access to clean water, and it is this water that has been littered that they will go and fetch and they are going to drink it. They don't even have the knowledge of maybe water purification. They might not even have the enough access to thinking about boiling the water before they drink, just to kill probably the microorganism and all of that. Now I want to tell you that if water is sick, the people will not be healthy. And today some water are actually sick because of those things that are found in them. Now let's talk about water pollution and disease. We know what water pollution is destroying the water, putting dirt in the water and all of that. But what are the diseases that can be caused as a result of water pollution? Number one, and a very good example, is the cholera. At some point in time there was cholera outbreak. A major cause of it is because people does not have access to clean and safe water. So that's to tell you that if our water is not properly treated, if our water is not properly managed, it can cause diseases, it can affect our health, it can affect human existence as a whole. Just imagine that the water you are using to cook is not pure, is not clean. The water you are drinking, I know that there are some people that by the time they drink some water and they taste it, if they realize that there is taste, they will not drink that water again. But there are some people that they don't even have the access to clean water, because normally your water is expected to be colorless, to be odorless, and to be tasteless. If you want to use it for domestic purpose, it is when the water is still in the sea and the ocean, that's when it's having something like a blue like color. Do you understand now? But when you really want to use it for domestic purpose, it must be clean, it must be colorless, and it must be tasteless and odorless. So when your water is contaminated, really it can lead to cholera outbreak, it can cause typhoid fever. Contaminated water is one of the causes of typhoid fever today, and even diarrhea. And when water is polluted, it can lead to poor sanitation even in the environment. You will see some people, they are fine, maybe in the next few minutes you will see them running around, stomach cramps and all of that. They will start using the restroom, stooling, just because probably they have drink a water that is contaminated. So that is to tell you that the blue economy is not complete if the public health is not involved. Now I've talked about the fact that sometimes when we see fish, we can just assume that it is just fish and like that. But I want to really tell you that it is more than that. It can be heavy metals, it can be microplastic, and even oil contamination, because most of the rivers and lakes today are nearby companies, isn't it? And there is a way all these leakages can spill inside water, can just have their way inside water and like that. So be very careful when you are really saying you want to eat fish, when you say you want to take the seafood and all of that. Are you really sure that this that you are eating, they are properly clean? Now let's talk about the consequences of water pollution. Now I've told you before that when your water is not clean, it can lead to some disease outbreak and all of that. Number one thing that it can cause is the death of aquatic life. When the water is polluted and we now have chemicals that can contaminate the water, it can affect the aquatic life in this water. It can affect the fishes, it can affect the living organism entirely that are found in this water. Then it can lead to loss of livelihood. Those people who are making income, those people who are earning from this blue economy might not be able to get their income as expected, then it's going to lead to poverty, because there is no money again. And waterborne disease, I've made example of waterborne disease, the cholera, diarrhea, and even typhoid. Now I want you to know that drug residue can enter the water, and it can lead to what we call the antimicrobial resistance. In one of my presentations, I've laid emphasis on antimicrobial resistance, but I just still want to reiterate some things to us, that antimicrobial resistance is when microorganisms are not. Now let me explain it in a more simpler way for you to understand. When the drugs that are meant to kill microorganisms are no longer effective, that is antimicrobial resistance. And this can happen even when the water, when the sea, the ocean are being contaminated with drug resistance. So there is a way the microorganism in water will be used to heat, and when you are meant to use them for the right thing, it will no longer be effective again. So let's be careful the way we deal with water in our environment. Don't just discard anything like that. Even your drugs, don't just discard it anyhow, because by the time it rains, it might have a way of flushing all of those things into the river. Let's look at those people who are affected when it comes to water contamination and pollution and like that. We have the coastal communities. Yes, those people who live close to the sea, those people who their daily living depends basically on water. The children, because some of them might not even know the right thing and the wrong thing to do like that, they are mostly affected. And you see some children, they will not grow well, they will start having some deficiency. Some of them will start having diseases like cholera, typhoid, and even diarrhea and like that. And it can lead to low income population. By the time things begin to happen, it's going to affect the population. Now let's look at how we can really solve this problem, because don't forget we are looking at the blue economy and the public health. Now let's look at how we can really solve all of these problems such that our water will not be contaminated. Number one is that we should practice safe water practice, in the sense that when you want to drink water, just ensure that it is safe. That's it. Then food hygiene is very important, and proper waste disposal, I've talked about that. Then community should make sure that they ensure proper sanitation. We are grateful to the Lagos State government, and they are bringing back the monthly environmental, right? So we should join hands with this government agency, and we should take care of our environment. Then government policy is very important. Waste management products, we have good example like the Loma and even other government agency like that, just like the Omieko and all other government agencies that are coming to educate us about the proper use of water. Then we also have the innovation, that is water purification and the sustainable fishing. Farmers, fishers should fish aright. Don't just say because you want to catch fishes and just put anyhow thing into the river and all of that. So I'm going to conclude by telling us that we cannot enjoy the wealth of the ocean while we are ignoring the health of the people. If we really want to enjoy the health of the wealth of the ocean, we must ensure that we live healthy and we practice all form of hygiene. We should not ignore the health of the people, and the blue economy will either sustain us silently or destroy us. So I want to tell us that a healthy ocean is healthy people. I do hope that you have learned one or two things from this presentation, and you can really see that the blue economy is not complete if public health is not involved. Thank you very much. And right now I'll be passing on the mic to the next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Ifeoluwa. I am the founder of Ora by Tudor. That was a good one, by the way, sis. Africa is blessed with such a rich and vibrant culture. From our way of life to our tradition to the way we dress, the way we speak, and so on. Even our fashion sense. But many people are still struggling with the heart of being seen. At Horror by Tudor, we understood what it is like to be remembered just by the way you smell. We started Horror by Tudor because a lot of people lost their confidence. Growing up, my first what's it called again? Sorry. My first encounter with scent was my mom. When she was alive, before my mom enters a room, her presence was felt just by the way she smelled. Before, even after she has left, we still usually feel her presence. My mom communicated that she was a strong woman. Strong, but feminine. That was the information she wanted people to know. And that was what she wanted people to perceive her as. And these are the effects that our scents, our perfumes can give us. Our topic for today is psychology, scent psychology. Creativity in scent. Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible until someone starts noticing your scent? And that was how Horror by Tudor was born. Just by creating scents for people, building their confidence by their perfumes and scent. Scent is not just limited to perfumes. We have diffusers, we have air freshener and the likes. The way we perceive things, the way we perceive a room, the way we communicate to things can be affected by scent. Statistically, I like to believe that it is even more than that. 95% of people are unkind or they react negatively to bad odor. I mean, who wants to accept that? When you get into a room and it smells bad, we most likely want to leave the place, unless if you are the owner. Anyway, so now psychology in scent. Usually, let me take peppermint for example. Peppermint has a way of motivating people. If you are in a place and there is like a peppermint diffuser or a diffuser that has peppermint, it has a way of boosting people confidence. Not confidence anyway, like motivation. It has a way of boosting our motivation and giving us more drive to work. And it's just like the way we are at spas and we feel relaxed. These are the effects of the scents of that place. Usually in places like that, they add lavender to their scents, and lavender usually lets people feel relaxed. It eases our anxiety and reduces cortisol level. And let me use this for example. A friend of mine was going for a pitch, and he reached out to me that she recommend perfumes for him, basically. And I asked, one of the questions we ask people is, who are you? Who do you want to be seen as? How do you want people to perceive you as? Because scent has a way of communicating even before we talk. There are some times that even before, when somebody's coming, before they are there, you can tell that, oh, so and so is around, before you see them. There are some scents that allows you to be feminine. I mean, it's not like it allows you, but it boosts your feminine side. Just like the way some people would like, there are some ladies that would say they like masculine scents. It's not that they like the masculine scents, because scent is not gender based. There is no female or male in terms of perfumes or fragrances. It's all marketing strategy. I'm so sorry about that, but it is marketing strategy. What she's just trying to say is she wants to come off as confident. She wants to come off as intimidating. That is basically what women that like masculine scent want. And women that like feminine scent just want to speak They want their feminine side to speak for them before they talk. In Africa, creativity is bold, is expressive, it is loud, and we can express it through our acts, our language. But saint is quiet. It's a quiet creativity because we can't hear, we can't see it. It can only be perceived. And that is our most powerful weapon as a person. But it is mostly ignored. It's not ignored. I feel like most people don't know the power that their sense can yield. It's how, like my friend, yes, let me go back to that. Just my friend that was going for a pitch, he said by the time he got there, he noticed people were friendly towards him. I mean, he could smell himself, so he knows I was smelling good. And unconsciously, we tend to be kinder. It's a psychology thing. That's why I said this is psychology of sense. We tend to be more kinder, more nicer to people that smell good. I mean, I wouldn't blame us. Anyway. And they said by the time he got there, from the reception to the place he wanted to pitch, in fact, the judge even complimented him. And then and there, his confidence was made. Because when I want to present, and before I started talking, judge is already complimenting me. I have won. No? So he built on that. He knew he had an advantage. And one thing, I feel sometimes we shy away from this conversation because we like to think it's a luxury. It is a luxury. Perfumes are expensive, but it is also affordable. They are the affordable part also. And I like to think luxury can also be intentionality. If you are intentional about our smell, we can smell luxury. We can smell luxurious. It's just how you can be intentional about the space and then it comes off as luxurious also. And that is where we found our voice. By communicating before speaking. By communicating without speaking. And that is perfume. Scents, fragrances can come off as an aura. It can be strong. It can be soft. It all depends on preference. It all depends on how you want to be read, how you want people to look at you. For me, I like feminine scent, and there are some women that like masculine scent. Like I said earlier, it's all about the information you want to pass across. What we have done with Aura by Tudor is that we've used it as a means to let people express themselves. What is fashion without smelling good? How will I look good? And I mean, you are coming close to me, you have to cover your nose. What is that about? And most cases, people will have to be, it's not that you're a bad person, you just cannot want to be around somewhere that is not pleasing to the nose. In fact, in that case, you tend to believe the person is not well put or kept together. What do you mean you're not? What do you mean you're smelling bad? What do you mean you're not taking care of your environment? I'm coming to your house, I'm perceiving this. I mean, it can be quite repulsive. So, we have, over time, we have specialized in helping people be their very self. And working in this field has made me understand that most times it's not about smelling nice. It's about wanting to be seen. Because if I'm coming in, if I want to smell good, it's not just, okay, yes, I like that. But at the same time, I want people to see me. I want to leave an impression. And to leave an impression, before I even talk, you don't have to hear me speak before you have an impression of me. And in most cases, perfumes communicate what you can't even say. Like the example I made earlier about my friend that went for the pitch. Before he started talking, they could buy into him that, oh, okay, this person knows what, even when he has not said anything, he had the advantage because they could feel this confidence horror that smelling nice gave to you. I mean, it's hard to it's not, I don't think it's hard to relate. I think it's very relatable, but to look at the psychology part is what most people don't understand, because most cases we want to follow the trends, we want to go for the bestsellers and all of that. Someone reached out to me that, oh, she likes that perfumes are not they don't feel like her. It's not, she said it's not given. And I asked her what are this, like I asked her for the perfumes. In my own, yeah, nice. I mean, like I said, it's preference regardless. And when she explained, oh, when she uses it, she doesn't feel like herself, she's this, she's that, okay. I got to understand that it is not communicating what she wants people to know about her. It's just, she bought it based on, I think, TikTok trends and the hype it was having online. That was why she went for the perfume. And then, why are you going for a woody scent when you like feminine scents? Why are you going for wood? Why are you going for woody kind of profile when you like feminine? So it just wasn't matching her personality, and she was feeling disconnected. That alone, if I'm working, I'm not feeling confident, I'm feeling disconnected with my own self. How can how can my confidence reflect in the room? Your scent is your personality, is your confidence, it is your identity. And over time, we've gotten to understand the fact that this it has a way of just improving our self-esteem. And that is what Horror by Tudor is about. The psychology of scent is basically the message. Scent is not just scent, fragrance, perfumes, air freshener, all of that. The way of communicating to people without talking. And that is the creativity about it. The creativity is expressing ourselves without talking. Expressing ourselves through scent. People find different means to express themselves. Some people it could be drawing, some people it could be singing, some people it could be dancing, some people it could be dancing. And for some people, for me, it has always been perfumes. It has always been scents. It has always been, I mean, growing up, I remember my friend and I would go to Korodu Garage to go and buy perfume, or dabble on perfume oils, take one or two, just to go to school and feel like ourselves anyway. And at the time, I did not understand that what I was doing was to build my confidence. You know, it was all about the hype of when I passed. They're always like, oh, we just passed that. I didn't understand that. I like the confidence it gave me. I like the way it made me feel. And over time, I've seen it boost people self-esteem. I've seen how you knowing at the back of your mind, in fact, in front of your mind, knowing that it's because sometimes, not even sometimes, in most cases, we smell ourselves. While we are walking, we can perceive what we are smelling like. That is, in perfumes, we have what is called projection, we have sillage, and we have longevity. But that's not a conversation we are going to go in for today. And sometimes, even after I've left, I would want my presence to be felt. I still want to leave a part of me. I've had a compliment. I think one of the mind-blowing compliments I ever had was somebody telling me that, oh, somebody saying that my scent lingers in the room after I've left. And that stuck to me for like forever. I mean, it is a very mild but interesting compliment. To be seen is what, to be seen without talking, to be heard, but just by our scent, just by how we smell. Luxury is not always expensive, like I said earlier. Let's not shy away from this. I think sometimes the emphasis on looking good, the emphasis of dressing nice and all of that is always there. But the emphasis and the intentionality of our scent is often amiss. In the sense that it's not just about trends, it's about understanding who you are. Who are you? Who do you want to be seen as? Who do you want to be remembered as? I remember she's late, but I remember how she smells. I remember the feeling, the what's the word now? The calmness that horror brings, the presence, the way her perfume communicates her presence. My mom doesn't have to speak for you to respect her. I've heard people say, oh, I think something happened in my school and she came in to talk to the teacher, and before she even, I think she got there already, just by the way she was smelling, and they were like, ah, Omo, they were intimidated by her already. And this is what, because I would say psychology, because it can't really be explained. How much, just like Sylvia was saying, how lavender can let you relax. The old compounds, everything about lavender has been built in a way that if you inhale it, there is the old science of how it's going to be put, the proportion and all of that. But if you inhale it, it has a way of calming your nerves. I have experienced it. It's my field of work. Of how it can calm your nerves, how it can make you relax. Yes. So that is what we are. I think I'm about to end the pitch now. So like I said earlier, luxury is not always expensive. It's all about intentionality, and we should try to be more creative about our scent. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. You might be wondering why am I smiling at this initial stage? Because I could still sense the scent. I think it's very nice to be on this stage right now. The whole place is still being saturated. Always smell good. It's very important. Even when the person comes, everybody started laughing. She has not even said anyone. Everybody started laughing. All right, so guys, we are back at it again today. Yeah, and today I will be exploring the battle between the old and the new generation of Nigeria, focusing on the economic, education, and political aspects or ambits. And I would want us to have as well. It's quite surprising that we have many young persons here, because some of the things that we are going to be addressing are punctures to the older generation. So I wish they were here, but I'm sure that some of them are listening to me via the link. Okoyemi Adeshokon is the name. Alright, so there has always been a lingering battle between the older and the new generation of Nigeria. At every point in time, we are always at loggerheads. Sometimes as to or those who have ruined the country. There's this guilt-tripping and blame passing agenda, whereby everybody's trying to accuse one another of the way the country to some extent has deteriorated, even though we cannot deny that there are so many positive aspects of Nigeria as well. First of all, I attended a conference at Freedom Park. Was it Freedom Park or Lagos Island? At John Randu. I'm sure you must have heard of John Randu, close to that TBS side. It was a LABAF program, Lagos State Book Art and Festival. And in that conference, I was opportune to be on the podium with some very massive politicians. I will not mention their names, but they were there. Two of them, and they just wrote new books. They just wrote new books, voluminous books, and they were there to tell us about their books. And you might take everything away from Nigerian politicians, honestly speaking. But if there's something you not take away from Nigerian politicians, is their dexterous way of speaking. They are very good at speaking. When politicians tell you something, you might be convinced into believing it. They are very talented. Now, they wrote a book, and in that book, they were telling us that before they became political persons, before they went into politics, they were once activists, fighting for the good cause of Nigeria. They started the radio stations, they were in the publishing company, writing about the likes of Abacha, that very authoritarian man, and many things like that. And by the end of that discussion, it was seeming as though it was like a kind of an attack on the younger generation, that they are not taking charge anymore, that the whole nation building something is just rested on what has existed before, and that we, the young generation, all that we can do is just to complain, and then be at maybe at Twitter or Instagram, and then just be expressing ourselves. So blames were being passed on us. And for instance, now I am a radical to some extent. I believe that even if you are another person, respect is not earned by age. It is earned by your presence, your level of wisdom. You cannot just come here and say, oh, respect me, I'm older than you. You shouldn't even be demanding it. Respect should be by your legacy, your appearance, how you present yourself. So then I stood up to the man, and I said, sir, why is it that the older generation of Nigeria, they have this tendency to always blame the youth, for what, we the youth, to blame them to return that, that, why is it that you guys are always blaming us that, okay, that during your time you were the one fighting for this one and that. Now, why is it that you guys do not take blame? It is what we met in this country that we are actually utilizing, gradually. The old rules didn't start from our place. So there's always this debate between the younger and older generation. And this is what we are going to look at today. If you look at the education sector, to begin with, the older generation, their own form of learning was a kind of, it was filled with discipline. They didn't have a lot of distractions like we now have these days. They could memorize, they had time to memorize, they had access to materials, though in their own time it was more theoretical. They didn't have access to practical tools, being able to explore, like that. So it was more theoretical. So, but they expect some shared portion of values from we the young ones too. But our times are different. There was a time when I was in University of Lagos, and one day I was in the elevator going to faculty. I was in faculty, I was going upstairs, so I was in the elevator. Then there are two elevators. The one is for lecturer, one is for students. So I entered a normal student's room, and the lecturer, I don't know, maybe the lecturer was not working. One of my professors at that time, he entered it with me. It was just both of us. He was a lecturer in my department. So I was on my earphone, I was listening to music, and sometimes I regretted that I greeted him. There are days that you just have to take your gaze away. So because but you're like, you can know me, I might not know him. So, good afternoon, sir. I said, are you my student? I said, yes. And you know me? I said, yes, I know you, sir. And you are listening to me, and beside you are listening to music. This is disrespectful. It felt so unreal that somebody could still be saying that. I'm like, early morning when you are coming to class, sometimes you just want to have that inspiration. I said, why, sir? I asked him why. He said, it is disrespectful. There's no any fear. Your professor is beside you. I'm like, oh, this man is not tested for dementia. Sometimes he would tell us even in class that he told us one time that he's still going to kill a student one day. That sometimes he'll be driving, a student will be on airport, that you have to start only that one out of what I said, you will spend the rest of your professorship career in prison. So they do not understand. The way professors were treated those days, they were like semi-gods. When you're a professor, it's like you could do and undo. But times have changed. The way we perceive, and maybe it is just in our own context in Nigeria. Abroad, I think they even have a way of relating with their teachers much better. Here now, the gap between Nigerian teacher, the Nigerian teachers and then the students is so wide that lecturers want to be seen as God. Alpha and Omega, they can make any decision. I will break if you say no. But it shouldn't be that. You write an exam, you are unable to review your script. You just submit, you don't even know what you just said you failed. If you say you want to go and check your script again, you hear something like, if you check it again and then you know, it's going to be crazy. But I've worked with people even outside the country whereby for every of their courses, they get reviews. Sometimes they will send them essays and then it is just so simple. You could have a video call, a voice call or Zoom call, a Google Meet call with your lecturer, you know, just to discuss. But it's quite harder here because of, you know, the kind of things put in place. So the older generation, you know that there are times whereby you can know something that your lecturer does not know. But there is this somewhat arrogance that comes with the older generation in the sense that I know these things, you cannot correct me. You know, you cannot correct me. But what we have to understand is that the world has changed. You know, you cannot keep believing that that thing that you know, nobody else can even know much better. I had one painful experience in class, still at the university. A lecturer was trying to tell us something. Of course, for you to be a lecturer, I believe that you must have exhibited some certain kind of intelligence. Then he made a mistake. You know, he made a mistake. And I told you that I'm radical. Sometimes, you know, when you try to correct lecturers in class, they might think you want to prove that you know something. But it's because if the the mistake is not corrected, it will go on to affect the entirety of the class and the whole purpose. So I raised my hand and I said, respectfully, sir, please, could you look at that thing again? You know, you wouldn't say, if you really want to correct, I've spoken here on this podium, the different kind of criticism. So you could see the connection in my teaching. So I said, sir, please, could you please look at this thing again? That was the only thing I said. And I was like, you know, if you are a very smart person, you know that probably there is something with the person, so you no longer cap it, you can even do it insidiously. And he said, what is wrong? So I brought out what was wrong. And this person twisted everything that now made me look stupid. I know there is level of argument I can be having in class because it will seem as if you are trying to prove something. So I stomached it. But only for us to now leave that premises, and there was not to say, hey, you are right, but you know, there's still someone I just knew. You know. So there's this rigid thing that comes with their education. They believe that they are all knowing. There's this traditional supremacy that they often believe that they have when it comes to, you know, education. So people can know what others do not know. So the older generation and the younger generation, we are always at loggerheads. You have ruined us, you know, you scattered everything for us, now give us rules, and you want us to build mansion out of the rules you've given us. Are we together? Yeah. Also, in terms of even the teaching pedagogy, the teaching method, the activities, our methods are different. I don't know anybody, teaching is not just about you going to university and then go and take up employment or a secondary school. No. At any point in time, if you have to educate somebody on something, like when she came here, she told us about saints. You have learned something, she has taught us, even if she's not even interested in the academia kind of teaching. That's teaching. So you realize that at a point in time, the older generation, they've been so used to the traditional method of teaching. They believe it's the best, whereby they come to class and they are looking at you, eyeball to eyeball, and then they are dictating everything verbatim and you are taking it in. You know, but teaching these days have been revolutionized. The way teaching is being done now is on another scale. And we learned our lesson in a hard way during the COVID period. During the COVID period, people realized that the innovation of the younger generation is what we need to now thrive in this kind of situation we find ourselves. Lecturers that would not want you to do anything online, that they will tell you to come to class to write tests, everybody started using LMS. But you know, our youth being youth, apart from the fact that we are smart, we are also quite, you know, we're also quite terrible when it comes to cheating. I'm telling you, we abuse the LMS. Honestly speaking, you know, at a point in time, they will set time for us. 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes to do this test. There's no monitor, there's nothing. And students will carry their book beside them like this. Number one, what is this one? Go and check again. Okay, this one is the correct answer. So students were scoring 38 over 40. Even you that you think you have moral, that I don't want to cheat. When you see that somebody that is not as smart as you is scoring 38 over 40, you now want to use your head to do it and get 25. Before you know it, you change your style. When we wrote the exams, they said they are monitoring us from the camera, that you cannot cheat, that if they catch you, they are going to flag you, that will be the end. People still use mirror to cheat. They use mirror to redirect the screen so that they are seeing the mirror, they are seeing the screen from the mirror, but that is not what actually they are doing. So there's this time around the fact that the youth are smart, but then there's now still reconfiguration of our smartness that is now tending towards the path of dubiousness. So, but then there are so many positive things that we have gotten in this new generation. You know, we now see that tests are being set on Google Doc rather. You can set tests on Google Doc, and instead of you now trying to record their test one after the other, you can set it in a way that the whole result will appear at once. You know, and you just have to compile. You don't need to start recording that you may even lose some of their test scripts. So these are some of the things that we see in education. But even though some of the things I've said as regards to education have been much in favor of the younger generation, I cannot deny the fact that the older generation have some things that we cannot take away from them. Number one, when it comes to, you know, wisdom is not just about being smart or having talent alone. Sometimes wisdom is accumulated from, you know, perseverance, patience. You know, you get wisdom for perseverance, for patience, from being able to withstand the test of time, and then, you know, you being able to even produce even in very tough circumstances. So I cannot deny the fact that the older generation in terms of wisdom have it to themselves. Okay. Now, apart from the battle in terms of education, we also have the economy. Why are the younger and older generation at loggerheads when it comes to the economy? First of all, I personally am hungry when I see a man of 60 years old in a seat. I feel like somebody like me should be occupying. It could be a greedy thinking, but I'm like, at the age of 60 or 65, you should have retired or be somewhere enjoying what you have worked for, and the younger generation should take charge. But then, why we might want to have that greedy thought, we also have to ask ourselves, you know, are we the one that created how they get to this part for themselves? Some of them worked hard in their younger age just for them to attain that, you know, goal. At that kind of age, you find them still working. But in terms of the economy, the younger generation people believe that the older generation people are the one, you know, who have taken charge of every sphere, and that we, the younger generation, are limited, you know, when it comes to many opportunities. Have you ever wondered this? How is it that many of these, if you see a successful old generation person, they are all connected? Wherever you are seeing Dangote, you are seeing Otedola, you are seeing Tony Elumelu, you are seeing all of them like they are all together. You are seeing governors, and you see several kind of governors together, you see several kind of rich men in Nigeria together. You know, it's like their chain has been well constructed in a way that even the youth are now finding it so difficult to come into that space. My boss, for instance, now, even though my boss is into something different, my boss knows some persons in his own generation, in the movie industry, you know, in entertainment, in, you know, even so many places. And I keep wondering how the connections have been formed. So when we look at this in terms of the economy, we feel like maybe if the youth are the ones, you know, in charge of the major sphere of the economy, probably they could bring in their creative and innovative skills to redefine the economy. So we are always at loggerheads. Sometimes we feel like, why should an organization still be having an active CEO of 70 years? That is old enough to be a grandpa what is a grandpa still doing in an economy? But the older generation people will tell you that sometimes you need the elderly wisdom. Because one problem we have as the young generation is frivolity. If the younger ones are not well led, if they do not have the right mentorship, I'm telling you, we could be frivolous. They will make you a CEO, you are collecting 5 million naira, every month. I'm telling you, you can start misbehaving. Some of us have not even started seeing big money, and even mouth cannot control us. Imagine when you're not seeing big money, I'm telling you, you might not even go to work any longer. You might just say, okay, let them get it done, I'm very busy, and the likes. But one thing that this old generation people, one thing that they have is what? Is perseverance, patience, and then the ability to also endure, and the visionary skills. Let me give you a good instance here around us. Dean, for instance, now I think he's older than majority of us that we are, or even all of us that are in this room. And if he says something, do you know that he says something that sometimes that if you call him at 3 a.m. he will be outside. That he will be outside, that he will always be here. He said he's even hardly ever out of this place, and you realize that Dean is the most seen person here since we started this program. You just see him. Now, imagine that the person that brought this innovative is like somebody of 20 or 25 years. That patience, that endurance, the person might have even gone out like 2 or 3 times. Might just please I have other things to do, I'm coming, because at that age, the concentration is not really so so high. We are a frivolous generation. Nobody among us, the youth, here can go 2 hours without looking at his or her screen, unless there is a problem. Maybe you are charging, or your phone is not around. But if your phone is around you, I'm telling you, are going to look at it. Even while a speech that you love is going on, is the truth. They bring food into the room, everybody loses focus. So the truth is, the endurance, the perseverance is one thing that mark out the old generation. Now, there's one argument again in the ambit of education, literature in particular. Gabriel, there was a time whereby they asked that, who are the better writers between the old generation writers of Nigeria and the new generation writers of Nigeria? Who are the better writers? Do you think the likes of Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, Femi Osofiso, Odia Ufem, J.P. Clark are better than the likes of Chimamanda, Ben Okri, Elona Bila? Well, who know Elona Bila? Waiting for an Angel, the Chibok Girls. He's a very popular, writer. So who do we think are better? This is an argument that goes on. And there was a time that somebody posted something on the group I am, and then the person posted this person and said, okay, who should stand up for Chimamanda? They put, the other thing that they say, we should stand up for Chimamanda, and they put these women there. One, who knows Zainab Akali? Zainab Akali. Nobody knows her. She's a Northern writer. She wrote Stillborn and The Virtuous Woman. If you read that book, I'm telling you, you will not leave your seat. Just short notes. And then there's Buchi Emechita, who wrote Joyce of Motherhood, Slave Girl, and then the Furu Flora Nwakpa. So they put four of those giants there. Then I put Chimamanda that we should stand up for them. Then I, for instance, I argued against that. Nobody can stand up in this city, that Chimamanda cannot stand anybody up. And what was my argument? Look at it. I said, number one, there is a difference between a writer and a narrator. If you are somebody who is interested in writing and you're unable to differentiate between a writer and a narrator, you still have more to do. Now, a writer is somebody who has taken writing as a job most times, and they are actually much more interested in how they can push their work out there. And a narrator most times he might not even be interested in whether people are reading my book. They just have a story to tell. But if you call yourself a writer, you want to. These days, writing is business. If I'm writing my story, I'm thinking, okay, what can I write that people will love? Okay, even these days, even speaking, nobody just saying that, okay, I will just come and speak with where spirit leads me. I don't have any topic at hand. I don't know for now, George. Witness, wait, let me get to stage. I will just let back. No, Everybody's saying, okay, what can I say that has not been said? And that is the truth. That is where people plan writing now. People plan that they want to write a collection of short stories. They want to know which one should come first. They plan descriptions. Okay, what kind of description should I describe? Should I use the present tense or past tense? How should I tailor this? But the likes of Buchi Emechita, they were more of narrator. They had stories to tell. If you read The Joys of Motherhood, she showed us, but it was ironical. We thought that the joys of motherhood was having children and everything, and in the end, but she had children and her children eventually left her. So is that actually the joy of motherhood or the agony of motherhood, that you can use all your life to raise your children, and in the end, at the end of the day, they might not even be around you, because at the point in time your children will go and marry, and mommy will come, or they'll just be sending you money, but that physical presence might not really be there again. So then I not defended. I said, I love Chimamanda, and I'm a reader of Chimamanda, but to me, I think she does not, because all these people are storytellers and narrators, and in the moment, the times when they blew, was even a time where opportunities were limited. For us to know Akali, to know Emechita, to know Unwakpa, in times when there was no access to many digital platforms, is because they were exceptionally good. So I buttress this, and again, I feel like writing now is commercialized. Writing now is commercialized. You can sell. Writers make a lot of money. Do you know that if they recommend your book for JAM, do you know how much you can make from? Do you know how many people are writing JAM in a year? I've been fighting for that thing. I've been one of these days. I read this guy that was a medical doctor last days at Avocado High School. You must have heard of it, Jimmy Agbaje, and a very sensational piece. They recommended his book. If we have over how many, maybe close to 1 million persons writing JAM, and their registration is like 8K. Do you know how much that will generate from you throughout the years that they will be using your book? But we don't know that there's money writing. Even if they recommend your book for WAEC, do you know how many suppliers that it's a lot of money? It's a lot of money, honestly speaking. So because of this commercialization, writers are now writing with focus on, I want to pass a message across. I want to write something that people will be able to read and love. The naturalness is lost. Buchi Emechita wrote Joys of Motherhood when woman writing was seen as sin. If you are a woman, you are writing, it's a disgrace that you as a woman, you are writing. Her husband even beat her and burnt the first manuscripts. What would my family say if they know that a woman is writing? You failed in your roles. There was even a part in one of our books, a second-class citizen. The man was having sex with her, so she decided to use birth control, and the man was angry. That is against our culture. Why using birth control? And then they were having children, and this man was irresponsible. But he said, why would you use birth control? I'm supposed to feel myself as a man, and let me know how much considerable you can be, and and you cannot the way men think those days, it was quite shocking, but that was the mentality. That was why in a book I read, the lady accused her husband of raping her. The lady accused her husband of raping her. So the case was going on that why would you say your husband raped you? That how can you say that your husband raped you? Your husband should be able to say no, that he willingly had sex with me. That day I was on my way to work, and then his body, and he was like, I don't want to do this right now. And and Buchi Emechita says one quote that she said, men are like animals when they are consumed by their desires. You don't know how animalistic a man can be until you see a man at that spur of the action. And you're like, is this person that is on suit? Or this person on native? The whole life will budget. Reasoning will now be superseded by neurons. Neurons will be running in their head. Almost will not be, almost will be charged. Adrenaline will not take place. At that moment, understand, nothing matters. Death can go. Religion can stay. That's it. So that is why when I wrote my article on Jem Kose disgrace, I said maybe rape is not just about when you grip somebody forcefully and then you pin their hand down and then you sleep with them forcefully. Maybe when you have sexual intercourse with somebody undesirably, maybe that could be tagged rape as well. And maybe that was what the girl was trying to justify in that text. So I buttress that Chimamanda could not stand anybody up. Again, another thing I said was that there's a difference between feminism and womanism. womanism and feminism. And of course, I'm open up to puncturing. I believe that Chimamanda is like is what most Nigerian females, especially not the older generation, the younger ones, they believe that she's a representation of feminism. And when they are talking about, feminism, they are seeing it from the point of radicality. It's like a war against men. That we are existing, that men are marginalizing us, and this. But the likes of Buchi Emechita, Flora Nwankpa, and many other women, they also preached feminism, but their own is they understand what it means to do your jobs as a woman. They know that women have their roles, men have their roles, but they just try to say that women can also do some things too. But they never said that women can do something, even do things that men can do better than what men can do. No. But these days the idea of feminism has been shifted to that side. If a man is doing bricklayer, what we believe now as feminism is that you also to climb that place and start building bricks. It's different. So if you look at why is it that in university, I had one issue with one person and I said, why is it that in the university you keep recommending old books to us to read again? Students of English, you are going to be reading Wole Soyinka, Abiku, J.P. Clark, Abiku. You are going to read Shakespeare, Macbeth, all these old books. Are you telling me that there are no new writers that we can use to teach African literature or Nigerian literature or Renaissance drama or poetry? And what did they say? They said, no matter what, that these people are the ones who founded the concept and we still have to be using their books. So because it's just like when we look at philosophy of education, we have perennialism and we have essentialism too. It's like they believe that the idea of African literature is erected in the teachings or in the works of these old generation people, which is not so. We even have new generation writers that are writing stories that are captivating much better and reflecting the values of African people. What we cannot do is probably merge both. Let us know that, because we cannot forget those who have bettered these things, of course. When we are talking about the origin of phone today, we still have to talk about the founder, even when we are talking about even the new modalities. But it's not that you now force us to start reading these things. I want to believe that even in chemistry and the likes, there are some laws that we know that they are everlasting laws. Boys' law, I don't know if there's girls' law, but I think there are some things that you just have to learn. But there are new modalities that are supposed to be put in place. So the writings of the new generational writers and then the old generational writers, the writings are quite different. I prefer the older generational writers' writing before, because I thought that they have a way of presenting their ideas and their stories even resonate more with us. I don't know anybody who has read Purple Eye Discourse and Things Fall Apart. I've read both, but I still find myself still resonating more with Things Fall Apart. I don't know why. Maybe because of when you read Achebe's book, the simplicity of the language and the way it will just engulf you. Or A Man of the People, for instance. A Man of the People, whereby a politician slept with a man's girlfriend, and then the man carried out revenge and then went to the city to go and sleep with the politician's girlfriend, and it ended in a clash. A Man of the People, how politicians presented themselves. Now, apart from this education sector, political space, the battle between the older and new generation, I think this is even the height of it. Political space. There was a time, 2023, I saw that people were divided in their political candidates. Some said Obi, some said Tinubu, and everybody was trying to give their reasons. And I said, okay, let us settle this rift. Vote for me. Let me bring out my flyer, contest for the post of president of Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you vote for me. I've not even landed. People were already laughing. It was then I knew that probably our future generation is finished. Because there was not even hope in me. I just said, okay, don't let us, we can start this. I can decide to go. We support, we read the campaign, and they said, what experience do you have? What money? Because good leadership in Nigeria is not just about I have good interest, I'm very good. It also comes with cost. I'm telling you, it comes with cost. You being able to distribute buses, starting different kind of movements. Maybe I want to be scholar movements. Okay, so maybe it will be, yes, scholar movement. Okay, so maybe it will be scholar movement. So we have different kind of movements, or how long or how much can people share. Sometimes you just see them that sometimes they will just go about. I was giving somebody an example. I said, for instance, now my grandma, she has lived all her life almost in Lagos Island, and she's part of the members of APC. She even collected some. She's always collecting all of these funds, and I went to visit her some time ago, and you cannot engage people who have a supporter in mind, So I'm like, Grandma, why are you supporting this person? She's closer to the wife, they are Lagos Island people and everything. And to these people, the likes of the other opposition party does not even exist. You support another person from the people that they have chosen. It's like, it's like an abomination. It's like you are doing something that is not even sense making at all. So I'm not like, how do I convince my grandma of that age who has gotten one or two things from that place to come and support this person or come and vote for this person? So that is the problem. So the older generation people, they refuse to leave these things to us, and that is the fight sometimes. Sometimes I wonder that why can't we have the youth, the younger generation dominating spaces? Are you telling me that there is no somebody in Nigeria that, for instance, now is like 35 to 40 years old, that is educated, sensible, and we can all support to go into that space? But when will you see that chance? And that is the truth. Are you telling me that, okay, any of these old generation people cannot just, okay, let me leave this space for you, let the youth go, but all I'll just do is that I'll just support you and guide you with my experience? But you realize that politics in this space is beyond, just going there to lead. It always comes with some other intentions. So in terms of politics, young people feel that they are highly underrepresented. How many of us are in Aso Rock? How many of us are holding positions? How many of us are holding positions? Where exactly do we find ourselves? So that's why some people say, politics, I'm not even interested. How many of us even voted during 2023 election here? I'm sure that if we have 30 people in the room, you cannot get more than 15 people that will vote. Some people are just non-partisan, they just are not interested in voting. And we want the country to be better. There's somebody that said that my vote is going for Showore, and then only the person was going. He just said Showore is the person I want to vote for. Some voted for NNPC, they just cast their vote for that person's because of their personal conviction. They are not moved. And I'm not like, okay, even though sometimes we young people try to prove stubborn, I feel like most majorly our power is just on social media. When young people are saying that on social media, it's like the whole air wants to let loose. But physically, we could be gullible. How many of us would they come here and say, okay, Gabriel, I want to give you 1 million naira. I want to give you 1 million naira, and you don't just have to do it. This 1 million naira is just for you to just sit front. But if you promise to now vote for this person, I'm going to give you 5 million naira. Sometimes you realize that our agitations as young persons is not as a result of probably change. It's because we want individual benefit for ourselves, and that's the truth. Do you think everybody that just setting up what's it called, ring lights and then speaking on Nigerian, do you think it's all about making Nigeria better? It's all about how can we make our individual better. It is. I'm very sure that if your own life can change for better now, and then they draw you into the mist whereby you can be making millions, you find yourself being silent about the whole thing, and then you just leave others with and say, okay, whatever it is, let them just continue. That is the politics. That is political aspect, and that is why we are always at loggerheads. I watched a movie, and that movie taught me something, that even sometimes the more revolutionary person can be compromised. Never say never. Don't ever say that, oh, it can never be me, that I can never ever compromise. You never can tell. What happened in this movie? These young boys, 4 of them, they were picked up in their village by one driver, in Brazil, that their lives were going to get better, that they were going to the city to work, and that they will send money to their parents and they will be keeping money for them, so that they are going to work for some time and their life will get better. They got to that man's company, and the first day they worked, they were expecting to be paid. They didn't pay them. what's going on? So one guy who was the main actor in that movie. He was very revolutionary, he was very radical. So the guy just went to meet the boss. The boss was a white person that, Mr. Wilson, we've been working and we have not been paid. What is going on? And the man said, what payment again? I'm already feeding you guys, they fence everywhere, they cannot go out of it. He said, the person that brought you guys here, the driver, had collected all the money you guys are going to work for in bulk. And then the only thing we can do is, and they have been sending change, that the money that they come to give your family when they were taking you, that I think is much. It's part of the money that they collected and have paid you. When you guys are supposed to work, the only thing they're supposed to be used to feed. That means that when they collected money on their behalf, they now have to work their life out. I'm telling you, it was very difficult. At first, they tried to run away. When they tried to run away, they were caught. They beat the hell out of one of them that tried to run away. They beat the hell out of him. So all of them, they now maintain their, their position. But the guy that was very radical, that was always talking that, what is this? The man, there was another time again that they tried to run away. The man prevented them from having their bath for like a week. So the one that was radical was saying, sir, at least we have accepted our fate. We are not going to run away. Can we have our bath? So the man started observing that, this one is radical. This one is revolutionary. This one is someone that is very stubborn. He said, okay, go and have your bath. Then he now went again to strike a deal. He said, he told his mate that, let me strike a deal with this man. That, okay, we are going to be diligent. We are going to work for you for some time. But are you going to promise that we are done working for you, you go? So he alone went to strike the deal. Others were saying that we don't have to strike any deal. We were too angry. The man said, okay, let's see how it goes. If you guys do your work, they started working, and the man started trusting him. So from locking them up, the man started, one day the man sent him, send him money to go and get cigarettes outside of the whole place. And the guy was like, should I just run away? This is my freedom. But the man just told him, I won't say anything, but just know that I know your family's address, I know where your grandma is, and start running away. I'll come there and I'll destroy everybody. He bought the cigarette and he came back again because he knew that there was something going on to him. But the lessons to be learned from this movie are two. Number one is that when you are revolutionary and radical, it sets you out. And even the older generation says this, in the young generation, and this can even be an admirable thing that bring them in. That is why some will say that sometimes when they see that you are becoming wise, they bring you closer to the circle to keep you short, so that what happens, the whole thing can be moving smoothly. You see that somebody that has started on the pathway of activism, always energizing that, okay, I'm not going to, all of a sudden they just keep quiet. One of my friends on his page was always talking about the government, and he was always talking about the government, talking about the society, criticizing. All of a sudden I stopped seeing his post. I'm like, is this guy fine? So I reached out, only for me to know that he has gotten a job at the ministry. So that talking stopped. Some of us, when we are doing our activism, I'm telling you, you have to be a honest person. What does it take? This content has to be better. You just call you one day and say, okay, poor man, because they believe that poor man's way of expressing this thing is filled with anger. 10 million naira a day, bro. That's okay. Well, you just start saying that I feel that the country is not as bad as we think. The country can be better. I'm telling you that there's no how bad something is. There's somebody who can spend everything to bring out the positive aspect of it. Even for Adolf Hitler, go online, you see people that are saying the positive, things that Adolf Hitler did. Some said, okay, he made Germany a respected, country. They could bring out something positive. Even Idi Amin, that dictator from Uganda, there are still people that could say good things about him. Even the military regime in Nigeria that we felt was rigid, some people still preferred even the military regime than even the civilian regime. They said there were some positive things that even came with the military regime. So there's nothing that you want to say. Even this present administration that we have here now, it is always two ways. And some people are firing here like this, some people are bringing it down. For instance, I always watch this interaction between this man, I don't know, you should know him, Renaud Mockery. When you start bringing out these statistics, you might be tempted to think Nigeria is a perfect country. And he has a very sweet way of typing these things. In 2009, he will be bringing out statistics. Do you know that Nigeria was listed as part of this and this? And for the opposition party, anything that is said, you bring it to his page, counter it, and then deal with the facts. So that tells us that there will always be, this conflict between the older and the new generation of Nigeria. Now, to move on to the last phase of the discussion, what are the things that we now have to do to be integrated? We need to come to a neutral ground, both the old and the new generation. I think in terms of social interactions, we are not that worse. Because in this space now, we have had even the older people and the new people even interact. Isn't it? It's not that we say, okay, the old people should know. I like the fact that even more young people are speaking on this podium. Because it is a reflection of the kind of possibility, in our future. My mommy was saying one time ago that she's happy with what we are doing, in this generation, that it's giving her confidence and hope that, it's not entirely finished. And some people still have that hope too. When I start on the podium with this man, Baby Sola Dioti, if you read Exam Focus, all these recommended jam, somebody that wrote this poem, Ambush. Yes, I start on the Ambush, that time the land is a saber-tooth tiger, this thing. So I start on the podium with him, 2023, I analyzed Wole Soyinka's book, Chronicles of the Happiest. So he wrote the review too. So we sat down together on the podium and we're speaking. So he listened to me speak and he saw the energy. And after that and said, I was so eager that this is somebody that I only saw him in textbook, recommended for us, and he's sitting on the podium with me. So I said, sir, I've read your poem. I said, you spoke so well. That alone, and then Lani ran through me and said, okay, it's going fine. And he was so happy with me. Just like when I met Wole Soyinka, the first time I was going, I was always a big fan. So the first time I met Wole Soyinka, it was my Kadenuga's hour, So we just finished that thing and then somebody introduced him to me. I said, okay, this guy is the president of this thing, like that. I was first of all consumed. I said, sir, I'm a big fan, I'm a writer too, I've read your works, and I was just looking at me like, oh, nice. Jamal, just let me, Then when I went to his house again, then we had a better discussion. So, what are the ways we can come together, the old and the new generation? What are the solutions to this battle between us, saying that, okay, you are the one that has spoiled our future, you guys do not have future. That's like the battle. We are saying that, okay, you guys did not leave anything good for us. You are the reason why we are here today. And they are saying that we do not have any creativity, that we are just a generation of complain. We are not driving anything forward. Number one, there should be integrational dialogue. Do we communicate? We have been able to have prolonged peace here. Why? Because there is what? Integrational dialogue. For every decision that is to be taken, of course, we are informed. Everybody feels, that they are being carried along. When the guest speakers are here, everything that goes on, what we are supposed to do today, there's integrational dialogue. We know what to do, so everybody could relate. So if we employ this integrational dialogue every time, the older and the new generation are going to have a very good relationship. Also, combine experience with innovation. So companies have realized that they need the youth, they need their energy, they need their innovation, to thrive. Because do you think a man of 70 years is sitting at the back of it and they still using into tech? Tech is majorly for our own generation, But if I thought they want to have an experience, they want to have an idea, they need someone like us, to put them through. A lecturer of mine one time wanted to set a test on Google Doc. He didn't know how to put it. I just assisted him with the test and he was like, how do you do that? I've been on this. It was his experience that he used to set the questions, but it was our own innovational skills, creativity, and our being able to adapt. We could learn a lot of things right now because our brain is still, in a very good state. We are very agile. We could multitask and everything. That was what bring that into life. So we need the old people's experience, their wisdom, their patience. Why they also need our own innovation, our diversity, our adaptability. And that is one way we can build a neutral ground. Another thing again is policy reforms should include youth voices. Policy reforms should include youth voices. Youths are comfortable when they feel that they are highly represented, when they feel that their voices are heard. When we're in camp, I'm telling you, our camp director, we call her Gen Z Mama. She will come to the camp and when she's addressing us, she will flow with us. She will make us feel as if, even though I am old, I'm still with you guys in terms of, this Gen Z, this youthful exuberance. I could still do it with you guys too. And everybody loved her in camp, regardless of your religion, your tribe. Do you know why? She did not just handle us with that, maybe the way an older person typically will handle young children. Sometimes she will even use some of our terms. They play music in camp, she even dance. You say, mama is shaking her body, and everybody will be happy about it. Even the CP, the overall general director general of NYC, that man, sometimes he is very vibrant. I'm telling you, it could be Gen Z, and at the same time, it could go the whole way. So there's now a need for eclecticism. You need to mix different attitude, different innovations, experiences with new adaptability. That is how we can actually thrive. We the young ones too, we also have to learn experience from them. You cannot thrive. See, if I always tell people that, even though you youth are saying that, we youth are saying that, okay, let us be in charge. If we all go into the system with the way we are, I'm telling you, the system may crumble. Because in terms of experience too, some of us, we are not totally baked, we are still half baked. You might have the innovation, you might have the education, but politics, for instance, is not just about education and innovation alone. There are some things that we still have to know that are legal, that are very, very integral to running a country. So that is also very important. It's just like this Chelsea squad, for those that watch football. One of the problems affecting Chelsea now is because it's like the old generation players are gone. So they are trying to change the squad. And what happened? So only new players. So, and that was one thing that this person was complaining. Cucurella, he was saying that we were playing Champions League with people that have not even had any experience before. We are playing Champions League with that of the lab that was playing for one average team before. But imagine, you need the ancient of days in football to also put you through. That is what Madrid used to have when the likes of Modric was there. They would have thrown. Look at Ramos, was the one that scored the equalizer. They knew how to keep the momentum going. So all these things are very important. So policy reforms that include youth voices should be encouraged. You should feel like they are representatives that are not compromised. For a lot of years, Unilag have not had student union because of one issue that escalated. But just of recent, they brought back student union. Even though the school management cannot find a way that they can work with student union in a way that there will be no further trouble anymore. But at least the students will feel like, okay, now they have a representative there. And that any decision that will be taken now, at least that's somebody that is going to think from the part of the students. Youth want somebody that is going to think from their own angle. Okay, as a youth, if you have a youth there, the person will be thinking in line with them, will know what they should be able to do. But hope these youths will not be compromised, because we've seen a situation whereby after all the agitation, even you, I'm telling you, you become compromised, and in the end, there's no any inclusion there. Last but not least, building systems that evolve, not resist change. The problem we have here is we always want to, we do not think about the beautiful part of evolving, always change. And Nigerians are very good at starting something without finishing. 2020 was an eye-opener. Look at the NSAS. I thought the world was coming to an end. I thought the world was coming to an end in 2020. Because from COVID, 2019, from COVID we went to NSAS. And you'll be watching the videos online, you're like, what is going on? NSAS, they were using guns to cut people's leg. And, my mother said something that time, I thought it was unpatriotic. But, she said, if you lose your life this 2020, I'm telling you, you'll be forgotten and life will continue. And because that time I was like, Mommy, I've always stood for change. I have to go out there and protest. I have to be there. I was coming, I went to visit my friend when the NSAS stuff broke out at Ogun. So the day I was coming back on bike, we just saw people, police and people fighting. I jumped down from bike. I'm telling you, I was on comment. My mom was coming. Where are you? Where are you? I've not even spoken to my mom. Finish. I was just like, hello, ma. That was when the phone called. There was chaos. My family were calling me, so I had to run through the back, of one market, and everybody was running. That period, I said, maybe the world was coming to an end, and this is just how God wants to end everywhere. And after that, another thing again is that for every disadvantageous thing, one evil thing I've noticed about we youth, maybe not, is that for everything that is going on, we take advantage of even difficulty. From NSAS to 1 million boys, there was the concept of 1 million boys, whereby they will enter, in group. You know, hunger, everybody was struck by hunger that period, and they would take your food, and sometimes they would even rape the girls there. It was happening under my area. You know, 1 million boys, they would just enter the room. They say, okay, girls, so start sleeping with your with jeans, you know, so that and I couldn't even make sense out of it, because these desperate people will not even say they are sleeping with. They can tear you apart. The men, we stop sleeping in the house. We start burning tires so that they can know that we are not asleep. Or everybody will start burning tires. We are fighting COVID, fighting NSAS, and at the same time still fighting community people. I said we are finished. So I never knew that we could recover from that period. But do you know one thing that happened there? Something that couldn't be ended was started. We started something that felt like a revolution. But what did it lead to? Just loss of lives and destroyed property. Nothing, we didn't achieve the desired aim. So we should know how to evolve, not to resist change drastically. That really affects. When you want to change something, I'm telling you, it's just like a bad habit. How many people have tried to change a bad habit before? At once, you will never be able to change it. Bad habit, because you didn't build the bad habit in a day, you cannot change it in a day. Maybe you are a smoker, for instance. Now you went to church one day and you listened to a very great sermon and you say, today I'm not going to smoke again. You might discipline yourself for that day, but before you know it again, you start again. Because you were being radical. Change is supposed to, you're supposed to evolve gradually. Maybe you used to smoke 10 rounds before. Okay, let me start from 8 to 6 to 4 to 2 to nothing. That is how it works. So you cannot say you want to just change it all at once. So we need to learn how to, build systems that evolve, not change. For instance, again, you can even look at when we started this program, this challenge. You know that there are many things that have changed, but the changes were not radical. They were not just at once. It evolved. It evolved. There are so many things that we are no longer doing. We are still doing, or we've even started doing. But you might not notice because it didn't happen all at once. When the generator stopped working now, everybody noticed because it happened at once. It's not that it's giving us sign. So change should evolve. Systems should be built on evolvement, and not on, radical change. So with this said, I think I've been able to explore the battle between the old and the new generation of Nigeria in terms of the economic, education, and political aspects. And I would like to pass this going on to them.
So, hello everybody. Oyinkansola Kimbi, and I'll be speaking on wealth creation in the aspect of agriculture. So earlier this year, my mentor introduced me to wealth creation. So sent me a couple of materials and all. But one core thing I learned from the whole process was that we have about four assets of making money, of betting wealth. We have the commodities, we have real estate, we have paper money, which is our stocks and shares. Commodities are those things that we can't do without, and we have business. So those are the core assets we use in betting wealth, right? But I thought to myself, everybody shouting real estate, okay. Then business, people are owning businesses, especially Igbo people, we give it to them all the time. But what about agriculture, which are the commodities? Nobody's talking about agriculture. I think everybody just believes that agriculture is something that is for the old people, or probably when you're done working and you're retired, you just want to go back to the village and just, settle down. That's when you do agriculture. But right about now, I think that's not the point. So actually, I woke up on the green side of the bed today. I was thinking about agriculture when I woke, and I'm like, there's actually more to agriculture than we actually know. But that's not even my point of being here. But let me talk a bit about agriculture. What is agriculture? Agriculture is the farming we know, the fishing we know, everything we know about planting, food, and the rest. The production process, the processing process. Yes, the production process, the processing part, and then the distribution. When it comes to Gary now, we have the cassava, we have to plant the cassava, tend it, do the heaping and all of those things, then process them, then you have Gary.
that's how we do our foods. Most of our foods, the ones that are not canned, are actually vetted from agriculture. But that's not what I woke up with this morning. I woke up with a question. Why are the young people not actually involved in agriculture? And when I mean they are not involved in agriculture, I don't mean maybe they are not planting or they are, because most of us, I don't know about you. Me and my friends were actually very interested in agriculture. But we cannot actually get into the agricultural sector. Why? Why? It's quite expensive. When I mean expensive, it is very, very expensive. Nobody wants to, most of the agricultural firms we have right now, like, they don't want to do the small scales for young people. They just want to do the large scaling, and you see that for you to get on board into the agricultural sector, you have to have about millions, 1 million, 2 million for you to own a land, and then if they want to help you monitor it. I think so far so good. The cheapest agricultural firm I've seen is that of Coach Bori. Is, I think it's about 600,000, or is actually cheap. But for students like me, I think that is not viably cheap as well, because when you check it, I'm still collecting pocket money from my dad. I'm sorry, I'm still even collecting data money, sometimes biscuit money. In fact, transport money, I still collect it. So it is not viable. Yeah, exactly. I'm a student. What do I expect? It's not actually viable for me to say that, okay, out of the small money that I'm receiving, I want to save up. It's actually not viable. Before I save it up, before you know it again, it's more expensive than how it was and I was saving up for to have it. So why can't we bring the young people into this agricultural system? We say young people are the future of tomorrow, and we also say agriculture is the future of tomorrow, because if you have been following up with what is going on currently in the country, you will know that people that are farmers, those that are in the agricultural sector, are actually the future of Nigeria currently. And that's why people started changing from real estate as houses to real estate as landowners, because when you own land, you can plant on it, and you can do whatever on it as regards agriculture, and not just building houses. So currently in Nigeria, actually agriculture is the future of the country, because let's take for example, I don't know if you have started looking at, if you make food, if you have started to monitor it, or if subconsciously you just noticed that, unlike before, when you make rice and you leave it, like maybe you made rice the night before and the next morning you want to heat it up to eat, it still seems fine, and when you heat it up, it's still. But now if you cook rice a day before and you want to heat it up in the morning, there's this weird smell it gives, because I don't know how rice is being preserved now, or how rice is being done now. And I've heard about the whole GMO thing, and a lot of our foods are actually suffering a whole lot, and it's affecting our own bodies. And that's why we keep saying that one of the core things that will thrive in Nigeria eventually is actually agriculture. So now they are telling us, build for tomorrow, start saving up for tomorrow, do all of those things for tomorrow. Okay, as a young person that I know that agriculture is actually the future of the country, I want to go into agriculture, but like I said, from the looks of everything, it's not viable, because I cannot, even if I want to go for the cheapest so far, 600,000 is still seeming like a whole lot to actually pour my money into. So this morning, while I was pondering, I sent it to our group and I was like, what if we actually have these agricultural firms have this student-based or student plan? You know now on Spotify they have the student plan where you can just snap your ID or whatever as recognition that you're a student, and the price is going to be reduced in a way. I think it's same for maybe Netflix or some apps like that have it, that their student plan, because they know that you are a student and surviving as a student can be so hard. Yes. So why can't we have that kind of plan too for agriculture? Since we are seeing it as a very viable thing in the future, why can't we start making plans for it now? So yeah, I'm just here to propose to the agricultural firms out there, how they can bring students like us on board. So why do I think this is viable? Because first, agriculture is the future, and we are also the future of Nigeria. So this is very, very viable. So what are the problems that I've noticed? What are the problems that I've noticed? First, I've noticed that we have high interest, but we have low firms. Currently in the agricultural sector, we don't have lots and lots of firms in the agricultural sector, because even those that are into agriculture, they are just doing it for the survival, and maybe in the villages, something like that. They are not doing it as a firm. And those that run the firm, actually, they are in large scales. So we have high interest, but it's bringing about low participation, because it's something people are not considering, it's something people are not imploring. A lot of people don't engage in it because first it's very, very expensive. Another problem is we have knowledge about agriculture, we have knowledge about these things. If you follow the podcast of Fem Lazarus, the last one you just released with that woman that is talking about different products, different farm produce and their advantages. If you see that, actually you'll be very, very motivated to go into farming. But we cannot go into farming. We have the knowledge about how these things can help us. We have the knowledge of how getting into agriculture can help us build wealth. We have all those knowledge. Like we young people are actually embedded with so much knowledge, but we cannot execute. Yes, we cannot execute. We have no access to execute, because where is the farm that we want to explore on, like, or where is the farm where we want to plow or do the heaping? There is no farm anywhere. Where's the money to get the farm? Another issue. And we are actually in a state where, gradually Nigeria now, we are already embracing the no cash policy, the cashless policy and all. It's going to get a time where we'll still go back to that era, and even having cash at hand will not actually save us, because the food available at that time is what we cannot buy because they are unhealthy to us. So the only thing that will save us in those periods actually is the fact that we have food stored at home, maybe in our barns or somewhere, or we have the farms where we can go get the fresh products, and that's the only way we can survive. And this time around, to be very honest, money will not save us then, because you have the money but you cannot buy anything, because anything you're buying is going to do more harm than good. Another problem is that most of the farms that we have, they require so much capital. Like, for you to set up a farm currently, they require so much capital, and then most of us cannot afford it, like I've said earlier. So what am I proposing as my solution? I think I have 4 things proposed as my solution. We should do this subscription based student plan. Like I said, Spotify is my I think most relevant example. When you want to subscribe to Spotify and you're a student, you just have the access. You just send your ID or something, then you enjoy the lower price. So why can't we have that kind of plan too, where as a student you have a reduced amount that you put into the business, something that you can actually afford. When you put it into the business and you are it is sold, the production and the process and everything has happened, whatever you are gaining from it, you either spend it or you reinvest. All depends on you. But I know most people, because they are interested in whatever it was and why they ventured in the first place, they are most likely to reinvest. So if we have something like the subscription plan, where you subscribe with what you can afford, and then get what you want with it, it can actually work. Students, most of them are actually interested in agriculture. I think students that are even studying fishery, or this poultry, or this poultry science, and all of those things that we feel like are not relevant in today, they would actually appreciate a plan like that, because first, it gives them hand-on practical, where they can actually engage what they've learned so far. They put it into play, they see how it goes, they see how it runs, and all of those things. They would really appreciate it, because first, it's also setting them up for the future, because they know that, okay, after they are done with school, first, they already have idea of how it's supposed to run, and secondly, they're actually seeing gains from it. So another thing I think we can do is that we have the cooperative participation mode. I think, and in relation to this, I'll point out Mrs. Sufedo, a woman that runs Land Ajo. So she's into real estate, and what she does as a real estate mogul is that if you know this cooperative of save and pack, or yes, that you save it and then after 7 people are saved, you pack today, another person will pack tomorrow, but this time around you're not packing, you're saving your money till you can actually afford a land. So it's called Land Ajo. They have an app for it and you can actually track all the process. So what if we have something like that, cooperative? We all know about cooperative and how for cooperatives we save, like we save with a particular organization, and from there we can actually loan or just save for future purpose and the rest. So what if we have that kind of plan? So we as students come together and save specific amount of save is what you actually get eventually. What I mean is, maybe for a 10,000 naira plan, you are supposed to gain maybe 20% of the money, and if you save 30,000 naira, you will get maybe 50% of whatever was produced or anything. So if a plan like that is actually in existence, it will be easier for students or young people, even teenagers that are interested in farming. Because I remember while we were growing up, my brother was always saying he wanted to own a farm. So imagine we had that kind of plan earlier then. I think because my brother loves to save a lot, he would just save that I'll need the money later. I think he would have poured the money into it as early as then and would have been earning money by now. Another one is the learn and earn structure. That was the one I was talking about. We are students and are learning fishery, poultry, and all of those things. Get to learn from the university, and then they are funded, or they are earning from what they are learning, because now they've learned about fishery processes and they've learned about the farming processes and all of those processes. But they are not just learning because they are learning. They are learning and they are using what they are learning. So while they learn, they are earning. Yes. And then digital engagement is like the Land Ajo I was talking about, where they save on the app. It's just like Opay too. No, I'll not use Opay, I'll use Cowrywise, where you save your money once you have put your money in Cowrywise. And see, you cannot just collect the money until the time that you have put that you want to collect the money. You can no longer have access to that money. So what if we have a digital engagement like that? Maybe it's an app or something. Also, this digital engagement also has to do with the updates you'll be getting, the pictures, the videos you'll be getting about your farm, or whatever you're planting, or whatever you're processing, or whatever you're selling. So this is my proposal, yes, as regards this student plan engagement in wealth creation in the agricultural sector. So what do we expect when we implement this? First, I expect more participation, because when we have plans like this, when we have systems like this all around, I tell you, fishery will no longer become a course people just like fishery. Me study fishery in the university here. It's no longer be that kind of, even botany. We're talking about the green economy. I think the other day a lady spoke about blue economy, and she was talking about the mangroves and all of those things. Okay, she studied plant science, and she had all this knowledge about she had access to all of those information, and she knew how we could use mangroves. She knew about the black mangroves and all of those. If we have a plan like this, actually she could actually bring her knowledge on board, and with that, like she said with the use of those mangroves, we can actually gain, with the use of all of those, we can actually gain electricity and the rest of it. So imagine we have people like that. We'll have more participation. We'll have more people participate in. We would have more people participate in fishery, in botany, in plant science, and the rest. It's no longer be wasted course. It's no longer be something that people use 4 years to study. Another thing is we create easy income, easy streams of income with with whatever we have at hand, with whatever we put in place to make this proposed plan come alive, we can actually have people more money. We will no longer become dependent teenagers like me now, that I always have to call my daddy, hello daddy, money for data, hello daddy, money for this one, hello daddy, money for this one. I will no longer be that dependent on my daddy, and that's why I always call myself a daddy's girl, because actually I'm a daddy's girl. I survive, like, in fact I live off my dad, to be very honest. But with but with this plan, I can actually settle some things like for myself. To be very honest, what if I tell you that even the normal sanitary pads that we are supposed to afford, I actually asked my dad for the money. Yes, I am not working. Yes, but with that, I'll be able to settle certain stuff. Hey, I don't have a man, and in fact, I always tell them that if they don't want me to have my young age, they should not give me everything that I want. But if I'm making my own money with this small, yes, I think no. Actually, it works for my mom. That's right. It really works for my mom. Actually, I think she does not watch this. Actually, it works very well. If I want to get anything, I would feel like, if you don't want me to have boyfriend, you better give me now. So, with me having this plan, and because it's what I have interest in, I would keep putting money, and I'll keep having more money with me, and keep earning more money, and all of those things. I will have more money to actually buy certain stuff for myself. I'll not have to call my daddy to buy this one. I'll not have to call my daddy for this one. I don't have to call mommy for this one and all of that. Yes, you can see that there are other things I could do, that maybe I should learn an handcraft or something. But what's the time to learn handcraft? My dad wants me to be serious with school, so I should not do anything extra. So I think that's why you always get all the calls when I need some. So within that period, we actually learned how to take care of the fish. We did not know how to take care of the fish until he brought that fish. It was practical. We learned how to wash the sand. We knew the right water to put. We knew when to feed the fish. We knew how the fish ate. We learned so much. That was when I knew fishes could actually bend. After, if you are mishandling them, especially fingerlings. I did not know before, but I learned all that while doing what I was doing. The last one is a shift in perception, because when we have things like this, first, we no longer think agriculture is for people that are old. Neither are we going to think that agriculture is for people that do not have jobs. We know that agriculture is for everybody, and we can all benefit from it. We will not be caught off guard when it happens. We would actually embrace it when it happens. Yeah. So this is actually a call for agricultural firms, even young people that are already into this agriculture thing, that please consider, we the students, consider the youngsters, consider the teenagers that already have this agric knowledge or opinion or perception. Do not allow it to die. So bring us on board. So thank you very much for listening to me, and right about now I'll be passing on the mic to the next.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis ici de parler du sujet d'art. Sorry, I'm not sure I can really speak English, so I don't know if there's an interpreter here for me. I'm just kidding. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to speak about what art stands for as a Nigerian. And just as I've just done, you can see how art can be very entertaining. So, growing up, when you think about art, most people attribute it to drawing, painting, illustrations, maybe animations. When you think of art, yes. Then on the other side, some other people would see art as some other people always thought, oh, when you think of art, you're thinking of humanities part. And who did they used to send to the humanities class? People that they thought were not as intelligent as, the other aspect. So if they know that you cannot solve 1 + 1, oh yeah, art class, they leave them alone. So that was literally what it was while growing up for us. Now, these were all myopic views that people had of art. Why? Maybe you can't really blame them. I guess it's exposure. It's the exposure that determined how
they saw art. But for some other persons, they had a broader view, they were exposed to a broader view, and they were able to recognize that art extends beyond just drawing, painting, and they were able to see art as a lifestyle. They were able to see art as something very, very consequential. And for parents that had this broader view, they were able to recognize art in their kids and they were able to develop it at a very tender age. Well,